Good evening, Nick Gerleo, 40 Robinson Road. I'll start with just some technical observations and suggestions, and then I'll just give a comment about approach. So starting with the technical, first with the table of uses, I noticed with the uses for mixed use, I see blank spaces in the column with the parking requirement. So I'm wondering, I'd just like some clarification if the current proposal is proposing no parking minimum or that just hasn't been decided yet. Secondly, I was going to make a comment about that residential portion that was included within the boundary. I'm happy to hear that that was removed. I was going to suggest exactly that because I don't think it fits with kind of the purpose of this district, which is mostly focused on mixed use and commercial. So I was glad to see that go out. Councilor Lemming suggested looking to historic district feasibility for the square. I know that's a little bit outside of the scope of zoning. I do think that's a good idea. I would like zoning that takes into account the historic character of Medford Square. I know Chair Carr also mentioned history. I think it's important that any new developments try to integrate the history of Medford Square as much as possible and also take into account just that history is a draw to Medford Square. So I think there's value in looking at that as well. Another thing in the table of uses, there was a neighborhood medical office included. I believe all of in all the sub-districts that's allowed as of right. I'm thinking to the great controversy that arose with the Salem Street corridor regarding that definition, which I personally find to be quite vague. So I'd suggest making that discretionary and adding a special permit requirement in all of those sub-districts. I know there was also mentioned by Chair Carr of the church being in the district as well, one of the churches not being in, I believe St. Joe's is in the district, as well as the library being out of it. So I would consider too, the impact that, maybe rising development incentives might have on our religious community in the square, to the extent that this might motivate them to sell and leave, and obviously would detract significantly from Medford's character, which in a large part has been based on its various religious communities. And then my general comment here, kind of on approach, I do understand, obviously, that the transom project was approved, the bid was accepted. I would just encourage both bodies here not to develop zoning that really is just trying to get that developer's project through easily. In other words, writing the zoning for the developer as opposed for what the community as a whole wants. So I personally don't understand why we accepted the bid before we settled the zoning question, but the fact of the matter is it has been accepted, and I know a goal here is to try to tailor zoning to make that project feasible. So I would just encourage both bodies here to just try to think of the broader purpose here. Thank you.